Ascent Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Stand Alone, How to Be an Extraordinary Leader by Sabrina Lloyd, narrated by Sabrina Lloyd. I would like to dedicate this work to who I dedicated my life to, and who has always made me understand and know that I am never alone, God, and the greatest leader to ever live, Jesus. Men who have blazed new paths for civilization have always been precedent breakers. It is ever the man who is not afraid to stand alone, who is bold, original, resourceful, that leaves his mark on his times. Orison Sweet Martin. Author's note. I've always been an exceptional student. My natural curiosity for knowledge and ability to learn anything has allowed me to understand systems, people, and ideas. This has played a tremendous role in enriching my life overall. I hope to share all that I've learned with you to help you expand your own learnings and mine. After all, we see with our brains, not with our eyes. I'm going to help you see everything a little differently so you can change and take charge of your life. You are not a victim of your life, your circumstances, or past. You are God's greatest creation, and everything He has given to you is an opportunity for you to reveal this to yourself. My story is an intersection of success in business and life, mixed with science and religion. I've been called everything from an angel to crazy. Both are true. This is a story of someone ordinary who became extraordinary because I gave it my all, which is exactly what you will learn when you take control of your life and stand alone. No matter where you are in your journey, choose to be excellent at whatever you are doing. Excellence means you give your all. Only you can control your excellence. No one else has access to your power. One day, all the dots will connect for you, as they did for me and still are doing even now. You will see that everything that is happening to you was actually designed for you in order to create a better version of you, if you will allow it. Introduction. You and I are not the same now, but I once was you. I was that scared kid, insecure, frightened of my own shadow. If you've ever grown up in a house where there is violence, you know it changes you. Your innocence dies. You learn to read people differently. You learn to read situations differently. You study and become immersed in the things that normal kids would never have to worry about. You're a happy, free-spirited child one moment, and then the garage door opens. He's home. You pay attention to every sound differently. You scramble. Who's walking through the door today? Will it be a good day or will it be hell? It doesn't matter if you're a boy or a girl. Something inside of you dies when you experience trauma in your own home. Every child is born into this world innocent, and then life happens. Life is happening to all of us. When it's happening and you're in the midst of it all, it's important you see that everything is working to build a stronger version of you. It takes a very unique person to handle the worst challenges that can ever come your way and turn them into the best things that could have ever happened to you, because such difficulties have the power to shape you into who you were meant to be. When you can start to look at your life through the lens of everything working to build you and make you stronger, you can stop being a victim and start to separate yourself from the masses. This is when you realize your power. This is when you start to stand alone. How does a scared little girl who is stripped of everything rebuild her life back stronger? When people see me today, they often think that I have everything. The truth is, no one has everything. We are all struggling with something. How the outside world perceives us and how we perceive ourselves are two very different things. And how you think about yourself is the most important thing. I will never have everything I want because I'm constantly in pursuit of the greater version of myself. But at the same time, I feel whole. I am whole. We become whole when we look at life not in terms of what we are missing, but what we have gained and are continuing to gain, including the most challenging times of our lives. Growth doesn't happen in good times. Growth happens in the moments of life that challenge and push us. These moments forge a new you. They chisel out your character by the decision you make to keep going and keep growing, or stop and disintegrate into victimhood. Everything that I experienced as a child and as an ambitious woman attempting to be the best wife, mother, and CEO have all made me who I am today. The truth is, if you were to take it all away from me, I'd still be okay because I've worked so hard to fully know myself. More than anything else, this has been an extraordinarily important goal of my life's work. It hasn't been easy, but it's been worth it. Every hardship, every disaster, everything that I've suffered through and overcome, every dark moment that I've experienced has allowed me to become the person who I am today. When I look back on my life, I realize now that my foundation was so important, like a building being erected from the ground up. The strength of what that building can endure lies in its foundation. The taller the building, the deeper into the earth the foundations go. The materials that make the foundation have to be strong to withstand the normal wear and tear of nature. Our foundation for our lives is how we were raised and what each experience that we ever go through means to us. How we interpret the wear and tear continues to either reinforce or strip away at our lives. This is true for every single one of us, and while hardship is extremely difficult to overcome, it's the exact thing that changes you and pushes you to become your best. It can set you up like no one else. If you've never had suffering or gone through difficulties, how can you push yourself to the limit? When you experience these things as a younger child, you are able to go through hardships later in life and business without being destroyed by them. For me, my most difficult moments became the moments that also transformed me into who I am today. Looking back, these are the exact things that pushed me to start leading my life instead of just letting things happen to me. You can do it too. Deciding to go all in. Whatever you're doing, you absolutely must decide to go all in. And I'm here to tell you that no matter what you have been through, you can make the decision to walk towards the light. Like a broken bone, I had to grow back stronger and choose to become more resilient. The scars I have only mean that those people don't affect me anymore. They can't get to me now. These scars allowed me to stand alone. They allow me to finally be free. This book is about unlocking something deep that lives inside all of us. Very few will have the pain tolerance to tap into this side of themselves. It's a side of no nonsense, no excuses, and a sick and twisted love and appreciation for pain and hardship because of what it will make of you. When you ask God for something, He will never give you that exact thing directly. He will instead give you the opportunity to become the kind of man or woman who can have the thing that you so deeply desire. If you ask for a chair, He will direct you to a tree, but then it's you who has to take action. You need to start chopping and making the chair out of the raw materials that have been given to you. The same is true for leveling up your life and career. If you are asking for an extraordinary life, you better know that hell is coming for you. This is where the work begins, and this is the moment when you have to dig deeper to figure out what really matters to you. Hell isn't the same for all of us. Some of us go through unimaginable things that would make someone else's hell look like a walk through the park. However true, I also believe that we're not given more than we're capable of handling. The hardships that I've experienced could have been too much for someone else, but they were enough for me to push myself to another level of greatness. Everyone's hardships are their own, and they are all difficult and challenging. One does not diminish the other, though it's more about what you do with them. Whether our difficulties are small or large, when we are in our own hell and being asked to walk through it, the feeling of hardship we endure is all the same. It sucks. It's horrible. And all we want to do is simply find our way out. However true, going through it and getting to the other side is what you have to do in order to get the real version of all that you can become. That's how you go from being someone ordinary to someone extraordinary. One has to investigate the principle in one thing or one event exhaustively. Things and the self are governed by the same principle. If you understand one, you understand the other, for the truth within and the truth without are identical. Shing Yushu, 11th century. In my life, I have been forced to walk to the edge and bring myself back. I've conquered so many difficulties and was able to rise above what life threw my way. And now that I've made it to the other side, I'm willing to tell you what it really takes to create your own life, instead of just living the life by default. So many people are ill-equipped today to handle the hardships. Most people are either overly sensitive or simply anesthetized and, as such, detached from reality. All that is easily seen are the rewards and the outcomes because the only things people are willing to talk about are their great experiences and opportunities. We live in a world that's censored from reality. We only see the highlight reels and the good moments. We don't see the work and the hardships that went into getting there. I assure you there is a lot more that is going on behind the scenes. It's easy to sit back and feel like others had opportunities that maybe you didn't. But instead, I encourage you to be prolific and proactive. First, decide what you want. Yes, it sounds so simple, but it's undeniable that you will get to where you want to go faster if you have a more accurate map. Let this become your blueprint for life. I will tell you that in order to get to your final destination, you will need to learn how to stand alone. Breaking out of the cage. Sometimes in life, you don't know exactly what you're doing or the next right choice to make. But when you look back later on, everything was always connected and pushed you to the next step along your journey. To stand alone, you must first decide that you're going to be amazing at whatever you're doing. Standing alone is what you get when you mix a monk and a warrior. A monk that loves the silence can reflect and control their emotions so they can respond rather than react. And a warrior that can execute on command has the courage to guard and protect the things that matter the most to them, and the strength to annihilate the enemy. What do you get when you cross a monk and a warrior? Dangerous. This is a manifesto for greatness. Every young girl needs to read this and take it to heart so that they are properly equipped with what it takes to truly succeed in this world. Every young boy needs to read this to grow into a strong man. Every man and woman needs to read this because you are manifesting weakness or strength in your children with your words and actions, and our children are the future. Most of us today are living in cages. When we are young, we feel like we are in a cage and want to break free from our parents' watch. When they finally release us from this cage, though, have they actually prepared us to deal with the real world? Have they really trained us to survive on our own? Oftentimes, the answer is no. So we end up creating a cage for ourselves and staying in our comfort zone instead of breaking free and growing into the people we're supposed to be. This happens on a subconscious level because we do what is familiar to us. But what if the familiar is scary? What if the familiar is violent and aggressive? What if the familiar is not safe, but instead the act of having to find an enormous amount of courage in the midst of great uncertainty? What if what is familiar is not having everything given to us, but rather learning how to hunt for what we want? What happens to a child that is raised like this versus the child that is raised to be kept safe and secure? That child is me. What was made familiar to me would destroy most people. My familiar and everyday life was filled with trauma and hardship that I could have let destroy me. However, I decided to overcome it. I decided to push myself to the limit and rise above my circumstance. I know that without it, I wouldn't be where I am now. Though it was difficult and unpleasant, it helped me to become the person that I am today. On the other side of everything that makes you feel safe, secure, and familiar is your best life. It's a life that you cannot even imagine having as yours because the cage is capturing your mind and thoughts in order to make you think less and less about what's waiting just outside of it. You become accustomed to a very unnatural way of living. Everything you need is already available to you whenever you need it. And there's often someone telling you what to do all the time. Living this way, you begin to lose the power of your own thoughts, mind, and choices. And you can't think for yourself anymore because you have been told what to do for so long. How do you know if you are trapped? You feel it in your spirit. God plants a seed inside all of us. When we are not authentic, true to who we really are, created to be or put in an environment that doesn't allow us to express fully who we are, we feel it in our spirit. It's why the people around us who really care to support us in finding the greatest version of ourselves are priceless. If not, it feels like we are trapped in a cage. We can anesthetize ourselves by lying to ourselves or settling for less, but all this does is further kill our spirit that wants to grow the seed that was planted inside of us from our Creator. We can only zone into what this unique seed in us is by truly knowing ourselves. When the voice of our spirit inside of us is loud and clear, we start to stop caring about all the voices that make a lot of noise on the outside. Everyone is different. We all have unique interests and things that we gravitate towards. That's why copying someone is so deadly. It literally kills the seed planted inside of us instead of nurturing who we were called to be. It won't be until this seed is nurtured and fully blossomed that you will feel truly free. That's where all of our freedom lies. When we are able to actualize and express who we were created to be, when we are living in alignment with our design. Trapped people are easy to identify. They are the teenagers who are engulfed by the noise of social media and the seemingly extravagant lives that everyone posts online, showing everything that they have. They are the young adults who have nothing in common with anyone else in their family, who feel so alone with their own thoughts, who wonder what in the world are they doing with their lives. It's the modern woman who is working under the incompetent man she has to report to, who continues every day to insult her intelligence. It's the mother who is constantly surrounded by the noise and chatter of her children and begins to feel she needs to escape or she will go crazy. It's the man who is listening to the noise of the world trying to weaken him and make him more docile until he has no more control over his own life. It could also be the employee who knows he or she is called to be an entrepreneur, or the entrepreneur who would rather be an employee. We are free when there is no more confusion and we are clear and aligned with who we are called to be. This doesn't come from the outside opinions of others. It's something cultivated from within. We have all felt this at one time or another. The work begins once we come to the realization that we are trapped, and now we must work on breaking free. What's your cage? That's what standing alone is really all about. Leading your life by design, free from the noise of the world telling you what you can and can't do, what you won't or will do. It's you making a decision to accept the responsibility of leading your own life. It's within the worst things that you will ever go through that you will find the strength and power to create a life filled with the best things that could ever happen to you. Those terrible times really happen for you and not to you. I want to help. I mean, really help you. Not simply tell you what everyone else is telling you, but to actually have the courage to tell you what really needs to be said. What does it take to achieve great levels of success? Being a nice person isn't enough. Do you have the stomach juices to quietly sit there in the middle of a storm and execute violently in order to create the life you want to live? Everyone is selling you something, but a seller needs a buyer. What are you buying? Are you buying into this story that you already have everything you need to succeed? Or do you feel like something just isn't right, like something is missing? Why do they tell you to stay where you are and be patient while they manipulate their way to the top? Trusting the process only works when you're being led by the right people. not cowards who are looking to keep their title and position and really only care about buying more time so they can beef up their pension. I'm not playing a small game, so I don't expect to win small prizes. I want it all. But I know what it will take in order to make that happen. I have been trained to go to war since I was a little child, and I still train every single day. When you get to where I am, you will be able to see where I was and where you once were. I know that I haven't scratched the surface of what I'm capable of doing, so every day I wake up and the claws come out. I know what it feels like to be at the bottom in the dark, looking up, wanting to get out. I know what it feels like to not have any money to eat. I know what it feels like to sleep on the floor because a mattress is a luxury. It's not about someone throwing you a rope. It's not about someone coming to rescue you. It's about you learning how to claw yourself out, 1 millimeter at a time. It's about looking at any daunting task and growing the balls that you don't have to overcome the fear that rises up inside all of us, to kill that voice that says, just stay put, be safe, and don't take risks because it's too dangerous. Do you know what's dangerous? You are. Are you training like no one else? Are you willing to do what no one else is willing to do? Are you willing to claw your way out millimeter by millimeter? You would if you knew that you would make it to the other side. You would if you knew what was waiting for you. It's time for you to start clawing and finally arrive because your best life is waiting on the other side. God is perfect. God doesn't make mistakes. Everything in your life is in perfect working order to get you to stand alone and carve out the best version of yourself. Whatever pain and suffering you are enduring, be thankful for it. It's been placed in your life on purpose, like the seed that is sitting under the pounds of dirt that has to find the strength to push against the downward pull of life, to fight and come up, to find the light and air to breathe. All those pounds of dirt is the pressure that's on you. The only way to get to the light is to push against the downward pull of life, and in doing so, you find more energy, more creativity, more of everything good. You have developed the muscle, the courage to fight the good fight. That's what this book is all about, making you know without a shadow of a doubt that you will make it out. You will make it out of the dark hole and find yourself in the light one day. You will see that no one and nothing will ever scare you again. You will start to gain control over the voices that speak to you to keep you safe. It's not about being safe. It never has been. Movement is life. There is no great victory that you will ever experience without the pain of discipline. The discipline to keep moving and keep clawing. Never give in. Never give up. Victory is yours. And every millimeter that you claw through will be a deposit that you make into yourself. It will give you the confidence to deal with much greater things in the future. We are all training for that next level. Even in our death, we will come to terms with what we are and what we could have been. My question to you is, what will your next level be? We are all working towards gaining this. Victory is calling. Will you answer? Live your life like you would rather die a hero than live like a coward. The world has enough cowards. This is your calling, to be a hero. And the first person you have to save is yourself. Every single thing that has ever happened to you or that is happening to you now is designed to make you stronger so that you can outplay and outlast everyone around you. Let every experience teach you. Strong is having the courage to connect and disconnect from the right people and choose your environment. Strong is being intelligent and reading data and recognizing what is happening in the right way to serve you, not destroy you. Never give in. Never give in. Never, 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 never. In nothing, great or small, large or petty, never give in, except to convictions of honor and good sense. Never yield to force. Never yield to the apparently overwhelming might of the enemy. Winston Churchill. Calm like a monk, alert like a warrior. Do you really think you were brought into this world to be defeated? Do you not see the miracle that you are? The weakest version of you already died. For you to exist, there was the greatest race that was ever won. It was an obstacle course that was all upstream and no easy feat. One sperm had to fight off between 40 to 150 million other versions of you. It was under a tremendous amount of pressure to do this. There was a time limit to get to the end, the egg, or the sperm would have died off. Barriers to entry make us stronger. After that major victory, you still had to be nurtured. Think of all the chemical processes that had to take place just before you arrived. As infants pass through the birth canal, they undergo an enormous amount of stress. Imagine being in this high-pressure, stressful environment and growing into it. It's normal for you. You've probably heard that saying, that warriors are made. When we hear this, we think we are all weak and fragile, and strength has to be created. I disagree. You come out of the womb a warrior. You have to remember who you are. You have to work every day to reinforce the warrior that's lying dormant underneath the surface. When they say a warrior is made, remember who made you. Do you think God can even create someone weak and broken? Life hits some of us really hard sometimes, and in those moments, you need to pull out the warrior that's already inside of you. Remember how you entered this world, the sound of water, the darkness, the sound of her heartbeat puts us in and out of sleep. All of a sudden, the water broke. Hormones changed, and it was like we instinctively knew that we needed to move. We needed to get out. The baby knows to push his head through the canal. The baby is squashed as the contractions force the baby to move down further. The baby is receiving less oxygen from the mother's constricting blood vessels, less oxygen being given to the umbilical cord. Do you know what most babies do in this high-stress situation? They sleep through it. You came into this world prepared to deal with enormous amounts of stress. In all this stress, what is the best way for the mother to be? The answer is the same when we are in the most stressful situations in our life. Calm, like a monk. The mother's calmness helps the child to be calm and alert. Yes, calm and alert. The calmer you are, the more alert you are. You see everything that is happening around you, and you are able to make a better decision at that time. Calm like a monk, alert like a warrior. As the baby passes through the birth canal, the skull molds itself to its environment to pass through. This is another key to our success. Are you so rigid, fixed, and incapable of change that you can't pass through the next part of your life? That's why so many people get stuck in their cages. Their inability to change, mold, and reconfigure themselves is the exact thing that keeps them caged and significantly stuck. The first time we experience this liberation from being caged is during the childbirth process. The enormous amounts of pressure that the baby feels actually helps it to breathe, as it forces the lungs to expel fluid and mucus and prevents the ingestion of any other substances as the baby passes through the canal. Maybe that's why we feel like we can't breathe when we are under enormous amounts of stress. That's why a lot of us have to remind ourselves to calm down and just breathe under these circumstances. The greatest challenges that we will face are passing through to the next phase in our life. And it's so symbolic to the ways in which all of our unique lives began. The same goes for the act of being calm. Being able to maintain a sense of calmness and control, even during high stressful events, is something that sets us up for success in life and business. Having a temper is just as weak as being soft. It's on the other end of the spectrum. I encourage you to get above the spectrum. Rise above the emotions. Imagine yourself floating above the situation you are in and seeing what really should happen. then choosing what you want the outcome to be. I train myself to be calm, and I work at it every day. Being calm doesn't mean you don't care or that you're not.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?